Hello, my friends. Hello, as you know, I am Nook of the book. Yes. You've caught me at a time where Jaggy has gone out with her friends again, and I am home. Vulcan is coming over in just about, I think he said he'd be here about 2, so that gives us a couple hours. I don't think we'll be on here very long, but still, it's nice that you're coming back for more stories, even though, the Night Sky Syndicate has been caught up. And so I don't think that I'm glad you're coming back for my stories and learning about the people of these wonderful realms. So I've been thinking about this one, and I believe I should tell you about the Queen of Garden before she became the Queen of Garden, Surena Gracewind. Yes, you see, Surena Gracewind is a goblin woman who started from nearly nothing and then became what she is now. Not because of a spoon in her mouth. I mean, because if you had a spoon in your mouth, you have to get that removed. And if you do not get that removed, then, you'd never be able to use your tongue, and it'll be stuck there, and you're constantly clacking your teeth against the spoon. Wait, is that the way that's not what wait, what is the spoon? Silver spoon. Oh, wrong analogy. You see, in some realms, when you are born with a spoon in your mouth, it's actually a true spoon. And so you have to get that removed before you turn the age of adulthood. Because if you do not, then that spoon grows with you. And you will, you can never be able to kiss anybody. Soup would never be able to be eaten, and really a lot of foods will not be able to be eaten because that spoon will clack against your teeth and you won't be able to chew. So yes, it's very bad. But the silver spoon in the mouth is a different thing altogether, where, some people say you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, which means you were born to wealth. And of course, Surena Gracewind was not born to wealth. No, she was not. She was born to extreme poverty. Now, we will start this many years ago, before the Battle of Garden, before right before the rise of the Orange Bastard, and of course, about the time that Surena Gracewind was born. She was born to a happy goblin family who lived in the Goblin Quarter, which was just, the residential district at that point, and her parents worked very hard as agricultural workers. Yes, I do not mean farmers. They were actually out there, actually tilling the soil, well, kind of like farmers, but hired hands. Unfortunately, at the time, it was more of a serfdom than anything else. So they didn't really get any money. They got the home they lived in, which was very small, very sparse, and they barely got enough food to eat. So, when Surena turned 6 years old, her parents were taking her out to the field to learn how to turn the soil and make the soil that was already very fertile to continue being fertile. So that way, of course, they did not use up the nutrients in the soil itself. No dust bowl here. No. So, while she was out there with her parents, she was just sitting around having a wonderful time. I mean, her parents adored her. And that's when a band of ruffians showed up and attacked the poor workers, and they were captured. Now, these band of ruffians were actually people who were being bankrolled by the Orange Bastard. You see, at that point, he had not come to power as of yet, but he was on the outskirts of power. So he was actually getting people that he knew would be able to out him, rounded up and thrown away. Now, her parents, unfortunately, when they were rounded up, they tried to protect their little girl, and they were slaughtered for the love and kindness. It was terrible, but with that, Surena grew harder. They took her and were planning on selling her off to a vile people, to an area where they were selling youngsters to teach them to get into the a trade of pleasure. That sounds awful. That word now tastes like shit in my mouth. I can never say that word again. I'm sorry, everybody. But the first day that she was taken there, she was bound in chains, both on her wrists and on her ankles. She was stripped naked, and when she was taken before the foreman, the one that was going to inspect her for the first time, he made her get on her knees, presented himself to her, and she bit it off. She then was able to get the keys from the taskmaster, this vile man who now had his penis torn off and was laying on the ground, screaming in pain. Now, luckily for Surena, the room she was in with the other young ladies was soundproofed. They did this because they did not want anyone to know what they were truly doing to the young ladies, to these children. And that worked for Surena's advantage. So she, after spitting out the vile penis, grabbed the keys and unlocked all of her sisters in arms. After that, they slaughtered the man and he begged for forgiveness. He said, "Please, oh, please don't kill me. I was only doing my job." They made sure to take their time with him. Afterwards, they found that the key also led to a hidden room, and in that room were several implements of a death. So, as there was about 12 young ladies here, they grabbed all the weapons they could get and made their way out. They slaughtered every a guard and soldier they came across. And when they finally made it into the rays of sunshine outside of the cells, out of the 12, only 3 were left. Surena, Veronica, and Betty. They hid for several weeks among the unwanted. Now, at that time, there were very many people who had no money on garden, and the unhoused situation was atrocious. They were able to hide amongst those who sat on the corners of streets and begged for coin. With that, she was able to round up more people to fight against the regime. Now, after 2 years of doing this, she was able to gain a small resistance army. And that's also when the Orange Bastard took power. Now, at this time, he had an army behind him that went around finding those who were speaking against him, and he would take them off guard to places that nobody knew. I knew where they were. It was actually a penal colony, and on that penal colony, once you went in, you were never seen again. Surena Gracewind knew what she had to do. At this point, it was 3 years into the regime of the Orange Bastard, and Surena was now about 12 years old. I know I said she was 6 years old before, and now she's 7 years. There was a time skip in between, so, the times happened, so now she's 12. So it was 6 years from the time she was taken and all that stuff, and then Anyways, getting to the important parts of the story. At that time, she was 12 years old and in command of at least 50 rebellious soldiers. Now, a part of these people that were there were very young, impressionable goblins. Some of them who were actually people who were taken by the bandits and the brigands. Others were those who were wronged by the orange bastard. And underneath these people were more actual rebels. And it grew and grew. But they knew that for every group that they encouraged to rise up against the orange bastard, there was more that were locked away, never to be seen again. So Surena came up with a plan. She and one of her most trusted lieutenants decided to get caught. Now, you're probably going, why would they get themselves caught? Well, you see, Surena Gracewind had actually been able to get a message into the detention center, and with that was able to smuggle one out as well. This gave them the layout of the detention center, as well as, of course, the guard rotation and all that. So, with that information, Surena Gracewind and her lieutenant, Miss Bloodfire. You all know who that is, yes? She is the leader of the outcast goblins. The ones that, run the same clan that Flannery and Joe Rock are a part of now. That Nikki and Siki are of. Yes. Same one. She and Surena Gracewind were captured. Now, in the beginning, they had to fake who they were, because there was a death penalty on both of them. So, Surena Gracewind said that her name was Sally McForth, and they looked upon her, and at that point, she had burned off any actual marks on her body that could identify her as Surena Gracewind. So, and of course, Miss Bloodfire, she did not have any real notifying marks at that time. She had been able to keep herself from getting too damaged. So, and as well as, of course, she had kept her face hidden all the time. So, the idea that a goblin woman was the one that was going around and killing all the guards, as she did, because she was a Spitfire. But she also had, and of course you'll find this from Nikki and Siki. I mean, especially Nikki. I mean, she loved when she actually got a hold of someone and they were laying before her. She enjoyed cutting off their manhood and keeping it as a trophy. Now, she did not brine it. She just kept it as a trophy, so after a while they started to stink, so she would throw them out and get new ones. No, that's the way you go. But, of course, as we all know, Nikki likes to brine them, so, her trophies keep. Anyways, as we were continuing on, Bloodfire and Surena Gracewind were incarcerated. They were taken to the detention center. The detention center itself was actually set on a asteroid that was slowly orbiting on itself. They kept their noses down for the first week while they were there, finding people that they knew who were captured that were part of the resistance. They watched. They kept notes. And by the first month that they were there, they had found the weakness. Now, they couldn't just rightly go out there and break everyone out. Not until they knew they could do it without too much of an issue. Now, at this point, another person had actually joined their group to help. And you're probably wondering, who was this person? Well, this person was actually me. Yes, you see, I myself had been acting as a go-between between Surena Gracewind's rebels, as well as, of course, the Gilded Grove. I had polymorphed myself into that of a drow, and I called myself Flicky. I was not very good at names. I just thought, Flicky sounds like a drow name, and I found out that's not a drow name, but whatever, fuck it. That's what I went with. Anyways, I was a drow male, and I drove a garbage spelljammer. I would take the garbage from the detention center, and I would then dump it into the sun of realm space. That way it would burn away. So on the day that I got the message to show up, I went into the back and started collecting the garbage. Now, in my spelljammer itself, I had hidden multiple portable holes, as well as, of course, components to act as a mage armor for nearly every rebel that was locked away. I had told Surena that I could do it, and it would last until we got everybody on the spelljammer. But afterwards, I would not be able to fly the spelljammer. We would need somebody of good actual strength and magic. And that's where we received a good friend in the way of one of the Gilded Grove. Now, you may be wondering, who? Well, as we all know, the Archdruid has not a daughter, but a niece, and she at the time was very, very, very into helping the cause. So she, even though she was I believe she was only about 15 years old, she volunteered to stay on the spelljammer and act as the navigator for the ship. Now that day, the Queen, Surena, had gotten herself, since of course she was had given a good she had been good as a model prisoner. They had given her the allowance to take garbage to the garbage area where I was. And as she came in, I told her in code. The code was, "You are looking very well today. I would like some of that," which this was the code she came up with, and that meant, "I am ready. Are you?" And she looked at me with daggers in her eyes, and she said, "You couldn't handle me." And I grimaced at that, because in code that said, "Okay, we are going to do this in 5. So, once the last load of garbage was loaded up, I created the distraction by performing a minor spell and allowing a chromatic worm to appear just outside of the asteroid. Now, when this happened, the guards freaked out, which, of course, it wasn't real. It was just an illusion. But all these men were very, they were actually the people that were, they had billboards everywhere that said, "Hey, would you like to join us? We will go ahead and give you this signing bonus, blah, 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 blah." Well, yeah, these people were very poor and needed the money. So, as that happened, they freaked out and went to sound the alarm, but unfortunately, the orange bastard had very well skimped out on a lot of things. I mean, the contractors he made to build this thing, he did not pay them afterwards, so they ripped out most of the alarms. There was one alarm that was still active, however, the guards didn't know which one it was. So they went to the alarms, but the alarms did not sound. Surena Gracewind then turned to me, and I gave her a magical weapon. And she took that weapon and started to make her way back into the detention center. I followed her with a bag of holding filled with weapons, and as we made our way through, I myself had to use multiple times a firebolt here, a portal to another realm here to that guard. I tried not to kill, but she needed me, so I was going to do my best for her. She was a good friend. Now, as we got back to the detention center, we found that the doors were still locked. Well, I used my magic to go ahead and unlock the doors, but it did not work. Apparently, the bars were made of something that was resistant to magic. I felt defeated until Surena Gracewind said, "It's okay. It's okay, Nook. Plan B." And she went to one of the guards, who was quite small, and she asked for the key, and the guard looked at her, took off their helmet, and smiled and said, "Right away." Apparently, Miss Bloodfire had gotten herself to switch out with one of the guards, and we will not say what happened to that guard, but let's just say that the guard is probably circling God to this day. Yeah. So, anyways, Miss Bloodfire was able to unlock all the doors, and everybody escaped. Now, I did not know how many people who were actually inside the detention center, but it turns out there was more than 6,000 people. There was no way that I could fit all those people on my boat. So I told that's Miss Gracewind, I said, "I'm sorry, I cannot fit them all on my spelljammer." And she goes, "It is okay. There's another thing I can have you do for me, if that is okay. You do not need to give us all mage armor. I don't believe we'll need it. Can you open a portal?" And I said, "Of course I can open a portal." "Well, who you want the portal to go to?" And she goes, "I need it to go to the Guild Grove." And I said, "Then give me 1 second. And with that, I closed my eyes and poured my awareness out to the tree, to my friends, Sir and Druid. Now, at this time, we had spoken several times, and they had allowed me to come back to the Gilded Grove and speak with them and share things, but we were still on Rocky, but when I let them know what was going on, and that it was for the good of Garden, they said, "Bring them here." So, together we opened a stable gateway between the detention center and the Gilded Grove. Now, after we had gotten the final person through, it was just myself, Miss Gracewind, and Miss Bloodfire, and that's when the reserves started showing up in their spelljammers. They had, looks like they had found some old Neojai mind spiders that were hidden underneath Garden itself. They had been outfitted with the most audacious weapons of all, the GIF bombards. Now, those of you who are out there that are like, "Wait a minute, well, how the fuck can they go ahead and have a GIF bombard on a Neojai mind spider?" Well, the thing is, though, the same people who did the contracting for the detention center were the same people who were, same company that were set up to actually attach the bombards. And so they were not done very well. No. The one thing the orange bastard never did was really pay for anything. He would just, if you asked for the money that he owed you, he would just tell you that he was not going to give you the money, and if you wanted to fight him, you could. You could take him to court. And at that time, he had many of the judges in his pocket, and he had enough electrum to get any lawyer he wanted to work for him. So, as we all know, the only thing you can really use Electrum for, other than, of course, my friend Hawk, who uses it for everything, is primarily for demons and, of course, lawyers. So, yes, which it's kind of into the mix sometimes. Sometimes there's lawyers that are demons, and sometimes there's demons that are lawyers, and it's just the way it is. So, yeah. Now, I have met a few lawyers who are not demons and are not evil and do take regular currency, except for Electrum, but they are far and in between. Anyways, excuse me. So we jumped onto my spelljammer. Now, at that time, the spelljammer I had, it was for hauling the garbage and everything. It was a type of galleon. Was it a galleon? It's been a long time since this happened, and a lot of things have happened. Oh no, it was a gnomish steamboat. Yes, it was bigger, of course, to handle me and anybody who was not the size of a gnome. But it ran on steam. Yes, steam, heat and water. Yes, which is fine for me because I can make heat no problem. I just go ahead and breathe on shit. Anyways, so we got onto my spelljammer, and that's when I told her we need to go. And so my navigator said, "Okay, Nook," and rammed it into full. Now this caused the steam wheel to continue on. Unfortunately, it was not made for speed. Now, we were sitting ducks, and Surena looked at me and says, "Can you open that portal again?" I said, "Not so soon, I'm so very sorry." And she looked at me and she goes, "How well are you at throwing shit?" And I said, "Well, I was not very good at the basic ball, or in the footed ball. I was pretty good at mittens, but I was not good at anything else. I went after the birds, but I was not very good with anything else." And she said, "Nook, it doesn't matter. See those boxes full of garbage?" And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Toss them at the mine spiders." So I was like, "Okay, I don't know what's going to happen." So as I did that, Miss Bloodfire went up to each one and stuffed a small explosive amongst the garbage. Now, the garbage itself was mostly a refuse that was burnable, but there were a few things in there that were combustible. So she stuck a bomb in each one, and I threw them at the mine spiders. Now, I didn't think that would do much damage, but again, remember, these people are using bombards, which require a lot of gunpowder. So when the first bit of garbage hit one of the mine spiders, it burst into flames, and it really didn't do much. And so I threw another, and that burst into flames, and again it didn't really do much. And I thought, "Oh God, we're all going to die. Well, they're going to die. I'm going to be fine because I'm immortal." So but I did not want them to die, so I got ready to put up a shield. It was not going to be very good, and I felt very horrible because I had used up most of my energy at that time for making that portal. I mean, there's 6,000 people to go through a portal. That's quite a bit of a drain on magic. But Surena Gracewind had an idea. She knew that the garbage we threw, the burnable, would go into their air envelope, and any stray pieces of gunpowder in the air would ignite, and like a chain reaction would light everything up. And as the fifth piece of garbage that hit one of the mine spiders, you started seeing little sparkles everywhere, little bits of light, followed by a huge explosion. And these mine spiders were so close together. There were about 5 of them. There were so many of them that were so close together that explosion caused the next one to explode, and so on and so forth, until all of them were just one giant fireball. And I looked to Surena and I said, "That was amazing." And she goes, "Nook, we just get us out of here." And so we made our way to the Gilded Grove. Now, we could not land there, so I had Surena and Miss Bloodfire leave while I went ahead and hid the ship. They all went there, talked to the Archdruid, and with that, they were given sanctuary. From then on, that's where the rebels had their main headquarters. Now, with this as well, the rebels started to conjugate among the caverns and roots of a garden as well. They were able to find secret pathways that led from a garden's main hub, which later became downtown, and of course the Elven Stronghold. Now, at this moment, this Elven Stronghold was not as run down as it was when the Night Sky Syndicate got to it, but it was run down enough that nobody really paid attention to it. So, Surena Gracewind and her loyal rebels decided to go ahead and put up little points around. One of those points later became the outcast village of the goblins, the one that was run by Miss Bloodfire. Now, once everything was set up, she had backing of over the 6,000 people that they had gotten to escape. They had joined her ranks, as well as, of course, those who were still inside of the main area of downtown that were working with her as well. That's when it came to the battle itself. Surena Gracewind was not someone who would shy away from a fight, but everyone told her, "You need to stay back. You are the face of this movement against the old bastard." And she said, "No. If I cannot be up there at the front lines, fighting for our freedom against this piece of shit, then I should not be allowed to be anywhere." So she took a sword. She took a shield. And she turned to those who were around her in the Gilded Grove. And she gave a speech that to this day fills my heart with joy. She said, "My brothers and sisters, you have been crushed under the regime of the Orange Bastard. We have family who were killed by his icemen, that were thrown into the void of space, detained to hell. Today, we will take back our homes. We will take back this land. And we will take back Garden." And everybody roared. The druids of the Gilded Grove opened a way, the quickest way back to downtown. Well, it wasn't downtown, but you know what I mean. Anyways, and it was just outside what is now considered the Imperial Acre. The mob rushed and broke through the icemen. Fire magic was very well against them because, of course, the ice, so they would melt really quick. Several people died, but Surena pushed on. As they made it to the mansion, they were faced with hobgoblins and orcs that had stern holdings with the Orange Bastard. They took multiple losses. Surena herself was shot with an arrow into her left arm, just above her elbow. To this day, if you watch her carefully, you'll notice that her arm is stiff. It never healed correctly. She never stopped. She continued on, fighting. After they made it through the orcs and hobgoblins, they continued to fight through. The servants that were working inside the mansion threw down anything they held and surrendered. Now, most of these people were there because they were conscripted and forced to work for the Orange Bastard. They actually were trying their best for their families who were being tormented by the Orange Bastard. Beings who knew that if they did anything against him, spoke out against him, that he would kill their families, slowly, in front of them. Those who fought back were treated the same as the Icemen. myself. I helped contain the way to downtown, to the mansion. Once we were done, those of us who still had magic left got ourselves ready for retreat if needed. We were under strict orders from the Queen, Surena, to only open the way back if the stone she had given the Archdruid turned black. Now the stone was the size of, well, some of you think a baseball, or a large egg. And, well, it was colored blue, a bright, vibrant blue, which, to be fair, was Surena Gracewind's favorite color. It still is. We watched that rock to the very end, until we received word that it was over. Back in the mansion, Surena had heard where the orange bastard was holding himself up. So she and Miss Bloodfire rushed to the room, threw open the doors, and there was the orange bastard, cowering underneath his bed, screaming out to them to leave him alone, that he did nothing wrong, that everything he did was for the good of God. Miss Bloodfire wanted to kill him, to cut off his head, and show it to the world that a despot was down. Surena Gracewind said, "My friend, we cannot be him. We must do our best to be better." It almost came to blows. Miss Bloodfire reached out, ready to fight Surena, but she was held back by a couple of mercenaries who had been originally hired by Surena Gracewind, but later became rebels themselves. And we know them as Jack Whiteclaw and Scylla. They looked at Miss Bloodfire and said, "You need to stop this. She's right. More death is not the answer. We need this to be a transition. One that shows that we are better than the orange bastard." Miss Bloodfire glared daggers at what was once her sister-in-arms. She said, "You don't need me. I'm leaving." So she did. However, her daughters, who at that time were only about, I think they were in their late teens, stood around her, watching as their mother left. One decided she was going to follow, but stopped when her mother took her arm and pushed it off her shoulder. She said, "Daughter, do you believe I am right in wanting to kill the orange bastard?" Now, I will tell you that tempers were running high at that moment, so please do not judge her too harshly. But Justine, looking at her mother, said, "No, I believe that Surena is correct. We need to prove we are better." fire, then said, "Then maybe she should be your mother, and not me." And she left. Surena Gracewind then, and her group, took control of downtown. We received the call from Surena that they had won, that they had taken downtown. And unlike any other battle I have ever seen before, once they had taken control of downtown, there was no rebel uprising against them, for everyone hated the orange bastard. Excuse me. Now, we all know the orange bastard got away, but he never regained the power that he once had. And then, of course, he was killed by me vomiting on his ship, and it catching fire and it burning away. Oh, I did punch him through the body, but like I said, I did not think that would happen. He said that it wouldn't happen. For a second, he was very convincing, but it did happen, so he died. So, Surena and those under her began to form a new government. Now, everybody wanted Surena to be a queen, the actual ruler of God. But she said, "I will not become a despot like the orange bastard." And so, what they did is they had a vote on who would be the head of the government. Surena almost received every vote except for one. And that vote came from herself. I remember standing there at the coronation. Not on the dais, no. I was down in the crowd. And when she took the podium, she said, "Everyone, thank you for this great honor. I will not be a ruler, but I will be here for you all. Do not think of me as a queen. Think of me as your friend." She has tried many times to advocate the throne. Every time they say, "Fine, we'll have another vote." She's won every time, and she's never voted for herself. Which is good, for those who want power usually should not have it, but those who do not crave power, but crave justice, are usually the ones you want in that seat. Now, she does have representatives who work for the best interest of people of God. It's very highly regulated. She has started so many programs to help those who were hurt by the orange bastard. That those that were maimed, their lives destroyed. After everything was done, she went to Scylla and Jack, hugged them both, thanked them for their kindness and for their love. You see, she had first fallen in love with Scylla. And I do not mean lust, I mean absolute love. She found that she enjoyed speaking and being with Scylla. But when Scylla said she was married, she felt deep ache in her heart. Scylla, however, said, "It is okay. I love you too. Come, let me show you." And when she met Jack, not for the first time, but when they actually got to sit down and speak with one another, they found each one had a mutual respect and a deep love for one another. She asked them both, Stay with me, please. I do not think I can part from you without great ache in my heart." Scylla and Jack asked her if they could think about this, and Surena said, "Okay, take all the time you want." Jack and Scylla left, and they've only been back when the Night Sky Syndicate went back. The Queen is not angry or surly or anything like that. For before they left, she was given 2 rings. Rings that were specially made. Rings that, just like Joe Rock and Flattery, could feel the heartbeat of the one they love. Like I said, there's 2. One of Jack's and one of Scylla. The answer has not come yet. But there is hope that in the end, the Queen will finally have her heart's desire. Now, I should probably be going. My friend Vulcan will be here soon. He was going to bring a cake he made. It's a new recipe. He said it's a sugar-free style of cake that he's working on because, of course, as he's getting older, he realizes he should really cut down on a lot of his sugar intake. I mean, I should too, but, what's going to happen? I mean, I'm immortal. I will live until the end of time. I believe so. But, we'll see how it is. He's a good man. So, until next time, my friends, remember, you never really know what it feels like to give up everything you hold dear for the hope that they will return. Until you do, we are all tied together, not just by the Book of Fate, but our interactions with each other. Now, if you excuse me, my donut pillow is running out of air, and I need to blow it back up. Found out what pegging was, and the fact that we did not use enough lube. So, until then, toodles!